Hello, it's Charles Fockaert, May 6, 2019. I want to welcome all of you and thank those of you who support this channel. This video is on full-time RVing, preparing for what we all can sense is coming, right, folks? And ham radio, also known as amateur radio. I took my license test. I took a class and took the test, and I got my license, my amateur radio license, probably 3 years ago now. And my call sign is KI7IJS, Kilo Indian 7 Indian Juliet Sierra, if you will. So I'm thinking about getting my next license, general. You don't need that. And what I want to talk about is, I don't think you need to have a license per se, but I think it might be a good idea to at least have the equipment. Now it's taken me 3 years to get this Baofeng. Let me get the number here. Just hold on. Baofeng F9 V2 Plus. For those of you that are interested in that, and come to understand, this is not a bad first handheld to have, and I'll get into that in a moment. Back to the fact that I don't think it's not imperative that you have a license. I would suggest it for a number of reasons, but at least have the equipment, and I'm going to explain why here in a moment. So let me pause and catch my breath. I mentioned before that I was asking for an Elmer, what they call an Elmer. An Elmer is a mentor. And the other day I was in town, and I'm a big believer in being in reality and actually talking to people that are in town rather than going online. And there's more I could say about that, but I was in town the other day, and I make it a point to call out people. For example, I spoke with one guy. He actually lives in Kingman, used to live in Ashford. He's doing a job here. Should be retired, but he spends too much money, and he can't keep his expenses under controls. But anyway, nice enough guy. He's sitting there painting. I talked to him. I won't go into that. But I was in the supermarket, the market there, and so I decided to buy the local newspaper, and I got this page here. Are you interested in amateur radio classes in Williams? And they spelled amateur wrong, I believe, there, but hey, that's the old English teacher in me. So I got a hold of this guy. I've been looking for an Elmer, and I contacted this fella that's on here, Glenn, and retired from the Navy, I guess it is. And he responded pretty quick. And I met him yesterday in town, flesh and blood, not on the internet. I put everything together, all my what I had, and I explained to him. We sat down at the coffee shop, and I explained to him what the problem I've been having. And he says, I can help you, and I'll be glad to help you. So he started. And first thing we did is you need to well, let me back up. First thing you need to do, I think, is, if you're interested in this, is what I did anyway. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I ended up buying a handheld, so when I went to a class, I at least had something that I could work with and become familiar with. So I ended up getting this Baofeng, like I mentioned, and I opted for the bigger battery. This is the battery they send you, and this battery is quite a bit bigger than this battery. So I have 2 batteries, and he said, and the fellow said, "Oh, I see you got the extra battery." I also bought an extra antenna, a longer antenna than the one that comes with it. This doesn't help much, but it does help some. And this particular handheld can broadcast, can transmit at 2 amps, 5 amps, and 8 amps. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 2 watts, 5 watts, and 8 watts. This is an 8-watt handheld, and the bigger ham radios may go to 20 watt, 50 watt. I want to pick this man's brain. He's nice enough to be my, quote, Elmer, my mentor, and I'm going to try to advance. And there's a lot to learn, which is why I like this hobby. It's a hobby, and because there's always something to learn, always something to keep my mind busy, keep me interested in other projects. Once I had the dual band FM transceiver and I bought the longer antenna, I knew that I needed to buy or have a connector. This goes in the side here. This is a USB, plugs into your computer, your laptop, and then you go online to a program called Chirp, and let me have you have a look at that. So this is what the Chirp program looks like, and it's basically a spreadsheet, and you get the frequencies in the local area, and you put them, they're already in Chirp, and then what you do is you copy them and you put them in your file, the program, the Chirp program that's on your hard drive, and then you transfer it from your hard drive, from your laptop or your computer to the handheld. And what we did here, which would have taken me a long time to understand or figure out, and this is why it's good to have a mentor, he knew exactly which frequencies I wanted. These frequencies here are like the Water Department, the U.S. Forest Service, the BLM, the emergency service, etc. So I have those now in the handheld, and this is the National Weather Service here, NOAA 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's others in here that can be used. There's other frequencies that are in the handheld now that allow me to hear and speak in this area. I only tell you this because I had this problem, and this is pretty common, I guess. There's a problem inside of here, and it won't let the program from the hardware, from online to interact with your software in the program, in the handheld. So he had another cable. We used his cable. We took the Chirp, the information we needed on the Chirp program online, and then we put it on my computer, and then he was able to transfer it using his cable and transfer it to this. So that's just what's taken me 3 years. Life in between interferes with living sometimes, but I got it done, and now I have the information I need. It's often updated, but what I need to do now is order the correct cable from the Baofeng.com. I don't know why this one doesn't work, but that's important. What I'm excited about is that with a battery, a handheld, and a wire, I can communicate without using the phone. And I can communicate, the man here, the fellow nice enough to help me, Elmer, said that he talks to people in Europe, he talks to people all across the country, Japan, and I spend a lot of time at higher elevations, so I'm looking forward to getting a more powerful mobile, not handheld, but a mobile unit that I can put here in the mobile cabin. Now that I have the energy coming from the solar panels to charge 2 separate banks of batteries when the batteries are charged up enough that I can transmit at the higher wattage, more power. I'll be able to upgrade. I'll keep this. This is pretty handy, the handheld, but I'll also be able to um, increase or improve my upgrade my system with getting the right antenna. Hang on there. So that fella was a pretty nice guy. He gave me this magnetic antenna. As you can see, it's a little bit longer. It's actually not much longer, but it's got the magnetic, and you use the base to catch the signal. Got about an 8-foot cord here. So, but my problem is the front of my Winnebago here is not metal; it's fiberglass, and the mobile cabin itself is aluminum. So I got a problem there, but hey, I'll work it out. I'm not going to go in, and I don't even know that much about it yet, but I got the basics down, and that's the point. You might consider buying one of these and getting the necessary software installed, get yourself an antenna, start playing around with it, get familiar with it. Go to some of these clubs if you want. You could actually meet people live and talk to them, meet them at the coffee shop. Somebody's got a same interest as you do. And there's something called, hang on, called here the ARES, A-R-E-S. That's Amateur Radio Emergency Service, where volunteers offer their equipment and their service, their expertise in times of emergency. I would like to get involved in that for obvious reasons. There's others. There's Community of Hams. They have repeaters all over the country, and when I go to a different area, I'll be able to upload their frequencies and then it repeats. So I actually, last night with this radio, I actually heard them speaking. The fellow that was helping me, his name is Glenn. He was on the radio last night, and I wish then I would have went ahead and said, you know, online, thank you, live, thank you. But I was going to wait and do that tonight. So hopefully tonight he'll be online, and I want to thank him. And I did talk yesterday. It's not a big deal for me, folks. I'm a pilot, so but when I got my pilot's license and I started talking on the radio in the plane and on the ground, there's a whole new world up there. Yeah, I began to realize, wow, there's a whole world of pilots, and I can talk to them from the ground and while I'm in the plane and while I'm flying from place to place. And it's a whole, you got the headphones on, and there's a whole there's an entire perspective that you don't see until you get your license and actually fly. It's the same with this. There was some incident here a couple days ago, and one sheriff came, and then two more sheriffs came. The lights were blazing. Then two fire truck and a rescue truck, and then the helicopter made a circle around and landed. So there was an emergency here. Someone was evacuated due to a medical condition. Had I had my handheld, I would have been able to overhear what they were communicating about, what was being said on the air, and that's a good reason for me to have this radio. If you're licensed, you can actually talk, and I like that idea. I'm in a certain area now here in Arizona near Williams. I can move back to Parker. I can go down to Yuma. I can go up to Utah. I can go to Flagstaff, etc. I can go around Nevada, and I can communicate with people that I don't know. I wouldn't have known. I couldn't call them on the phone because I don't know who they are, and I can now contact them. And most of these guys are more than happy to help, and they're involved in emergency operations when when needed. And those are the kind of guys that I want to connect with and get to know. For those of you with eyes to see and ears to hear, you'll know how important that might be in the future.